True knowledge is that which informs one about the true nature of God or the higher self. The first requirement of spirituality is nonviolence. The second requirement of spirituality is truthfulness. The third requirement is celibacy. The fourth is controlling one's senses. And the last is the worship of God. One who practices spirituality should not go around collecting material possessions. Before meditating on the true nature of the higher self, one has to seat oneself in a proper posture. When the senses are controlled, one goes to heaven and avoids going to hell. Material pursuits are like the strong flow of a river. The soul drowns in it. Pranayama alone is not enough. It has to be supplemented with meditation and chanting. One contemplates the true nature of the higher self. Alright, so we're going to break this down. It says true knowledge is that which informs one about the true nature of God or the higher self. So it's saying verbatim, straight out the gate, that true knowledge is two different types of knowledge. The true knowledge and the lower knowledge, or the false knowledge. The true knowledge is the higher knowledge, and that informs one about the nature of God and the higher self or your soul. It's that simple. All other knowledge is false knowledge. It's not going to get you to the ultimate or supreme goal, which we all know has to be something that exists before birth and after death. That is the supreme truth or the supreme goal. So it says true knowledge is that which informs one about the true nature of God or the higher self, which is one and the same thing. So now, straight at the gate, if you know the truth, you'll know when a lie comes. If you know true knowledge, you'll know when a lie comes. Well, this is giving us the determining idea or the distinguishing idea to tell us the difference between the two. So true knowledge is that which informs one about the true nature of God or the higher self. The first requirement of spirituality or yoga to yoke yourself to that God or that higher self is nonviolence. So we're going to break this down with the seven, glands, the seven worlds or the seven chakras like we do in many videos. That first requirement is dealing with the heart chakra, right? Nonviolence. It says the second requirement of spirituality or to yoke yourself to God, yoga, is truthfulness. It's the throat chakra, right? Truthfulness. It says the third requirement is celibacy. Celibacy is the sacral plexus, right? The second chakra, the Swadhisthana chakra. It says the fourth is controlling one's senses. The senses, all five of them are centered around the intuitive realm of the chakras, which is the solar plexus. That's the senses. It says, and the last is the worship of God. The worship of God will be the crown chakra, right? The worship of God. It says, one who practices spirituality or is attempting to yoke their soul to God should not go around collecting material possessions. Very key. Material possessions we cannot forget is the root chakra. That's the first chakra. The base of the Muladhara chakra, the first one. That's the chakra for survival. So that's why it's saying if you're trying to yoke yourself to God at these higher realms and trying to practice spirituality or yoga, true spirituality, one should not go around collecting material possessions. So that should be able to distinguish the true knowledge, like it says at the beginning, and the false knowledge. The true knowledge is basically the ancient, mystical, and disciplinic spiritual practices of ancient Africa and Asia, right? And even Southern Europe. That's the true knowledge. And in that knowledge, they show you how to yoke yourself to God or to the spiritual world or to your higher self. Now, the false knowledge would be the prosperity movement, the prosperity doctrine, and the New Age movement, like The Secret, and manifesting this and manifesting your desires and so on, material objects. It says, one who practices spirituality should not go around collecting material possessions. So that right there should be able to tell you the distinguishing differences between true knowledge and true spirituality versus false knowledge and false spirituality. It's that simple. It says before meditating on the true nature of your higher self, one has to seat oneself in a proper posture. And it says when the senses are controlled, so when your five senses are under control, right, one goes to heaven and avoids going to hell. Hell will be the external world and reincarnating and being trapped in lower levels of karma and worse experiences and worse misfortune and worse trauma. But heaven will be to liberate your soul to never die, be reborn, or reincarnate ever again. That's heaven, right? And hell would be to be what? To die, to be reborn, and to reincarnate again. That would be hell. When the senses are controlled, one goes to heaven and avoids going to hell. Material pursuits are like the strong flow of a river. That river is the Shushunanadi, or your spine, the blood flow of your spine or your nervous system. That is that river that gives you all of your impulses and desires and your inclinations, and gives you your animal or human biology. What makes you tick? All of your different desires are on this spine. That's the river. But it says material pursuits. When you get on this river and you seek material possessions, it's like a strong flow of a river. It says the soul drowns in it. The soul will drown in that river and gets trapped under the throat because of lies and untruthfulness. When it gets trapped under the heart because of violence. When it gets trapped under the solar plexus because it loses clarity with your five senses. When it gets trapped under the sacral plexus because you lose your energy, your prana, through misuse of your sexual activity. Under the root chakra because you're seeking material possessions. But it says pranayama, meaning breath control, is not enough though. So you need to do it, but it's not enough. It has to be added or supplemented with meditation and chanting, which is called dhyana and japa, meditation and chanting. It says, then one contemplates on the true nature of the higher self. So from there, the meditation and chanting, now you meditate and contemplate on the true nature of the higher self. And in those meditations, that's basically sitting, closing your eyes, and you deal with the implications and the circumstances of what it means, of what happens after you die, what happens before you were born, who are you really beyond this physical body, who is all of the different people that you have known, what are all of the circumstances of your life, what is misfortune, what is fortune, what is karma, what is reincarnation. All of these different motifs and concepts should be meditated upon until you do something called Atma Vikara, which is self-inquiry, and you get to the root of who you really are. And you'll be surprised, which most people in the West and most people in the world will be shocked to discover, is that you are that same being that is primordial and that's before creation. Right now, we are living in the dream of that supreme being or that supreme deity. And that is what contemplation and meditation should help you discover. But if you already have inhibitions and you have doubt before you even get started, then you're already going to be misled and distracted. So you have to have confidence, conviction that you'll be able to discover the biggest mystery that has ever been spoken of or revealed to the world. And you'll be able to discover it on your own through this practice that we just laid out today. Oh yeah, and that mystery is what we would call heaven, the spiritual world, the afterlife, the transcendental worlds, other dimensions, higher dimensions, etc., etc. There's many names and many cultures and many different ways to describe it. Liberation of the soul, self-liberation, self-realization, etc., etc. That is what is available